He's said to be the most prominent African-American scientist of the early 20th century. Second on my list of black people in history I think you should know is George Washington Carver. His research and inventions revolutionised farming at a time where people still relied on farming for their food and income. But let's backtrack a few years. George was actually born into slavery on a farm in Missouri, but like many born into slavery, the exact date of his birth is unknown. However, it is believed to be in 1864 because he was born the year before slavery was outlawed in America. When George was a baby, he and some of his family were kidnapped by slave raiders. His owner Moses Carver hired someone to track them down, but sadly, he could only locate George. Moses Carver and his wife Susan raised George and his brother James as their own and taught them how to read and write. This sparked George's love for learning, and in 1894 he became the first African American to earn a bachelor's degree in science. But it wasn't easy for George. In fact, the first college he enrolled in actually terminated his place once they found out he was black. In 1896, Carver earned his master's degree in agriculture and immediately received several offers, but he accepted one, to run the agriculture department at what is now Tuskegee University in Alabama. So what's his legacy? And why is he one of the most well-known African Americans of his time? Well, there's actually quite a lot. To understand George's impact on agriculture, it's important to understand what crop rotation is. Some crops, when you plant them, take certain nutrients out of the soil when they grow, and others add them back in. This means when you plant the same crop over and over again in the same piece of land, the amount you harvest will be smaller because they need nutrients to grow. Crop rotation is where farmers alternate which crops they plant to ensure there's enough nutrients in the soil for the plants to grow. George learned that years of growing cotton had depleted the nutrients in the soil, meaning year on year the harvest was getting lower. Through his research, he discovered that plants like peanuts could add the nutrients that cotton needed back into the soil, so then more cotton could grow and be harvested the following year. At first, he faced resistance from farmers and plantation owners who didn't believe him, but to convince them, he came up with hundreds of different ways to use these other crops. He even developed more than 300 food, industrial and commercial products from the peanut alone, things like milk, plastics, paints, medical oils and recipes. This revolutionised farming in America, and soon all farmers were following his advice. But George was a man of many talents. Not only was he an incredible scientist, he was also a talented artist. He was so skilled that in 1916 he became a member of the British Royal Society of Arts, which was pretty much unheard of for an American. At the old age of 78, George sadly died from a fall in his home, but farming wouldn't be what it is today without him. The impact that George had on farming in America was so massive that in 1943 the US government decided a national monument should be built in his honour. This was huge, as it was the first US national monument that was dedicated to a black person, and also the first that wasn't dedicated to a president. I'd like to leave you with the quote written on his gravestone, which I think perfectly shows what type of man he was. He could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honour in being helpful to the world. Hi guys, thank you so much for watching this video. As ever, the links to where I got all this information is in the description, check it out. If you do want to learn about some more inspirational black figures, then check out the video I made on Mary Seacole and keep an eye on my channel because there'll be more coming soon.